The Bible's cosmology reflects the worldview of the ancient Near East, a universe that is ordered rather than accidental, shaped by divine command. Genesis speaks of a firmament, rakia, a solid dome separating the waters above from the waters below. The sun, moon, and stars were set in this firmament to give light upon the earth. The earth was seen as fixed and immovable, established upon foundations, with the heavens stretched out above like a tent. The cosmos revolved around the earth, with God himself or his angelic agents directing the heavenly bodies. Lightning, earthquakes, and comets were understood as the instruments of his will. This geocentric understanding, Earth at the center, became dominant in the Greco-Roman world, especially after Claudius Ptolemy in the 2nd century AD refined it into a mathematical system. The Ptolemaic model, which combined biblical imagery with Greek astronomy, remained the standard for over 1,000 years. In the early 16th century, Nicholas Copernicus began to doubt the old system. After years of careful observation, he concluded that the motions of the heavens were far better explained if the sun, not the earth, was at the center. In the following book, Copernicus laid out the heliocentric model, the earth spinning on its axis and orbiting the sun. This idea was revolutionary, but it directly challenged the literal reading of passages like Joshua 10:13, where the sun is said to stand still. Not all Christian leaders were convinced by heliocentrism. Martin Luther, in his table talk of June 4, 1539, said, "There is talk of a new astrologer who wants to prove that the earth moves and goes around instead of the sky, the sun, the moon, just as if somebody were moving in a carriage or ship might hold that he was sitting still and at rest while the earth and the trees walked and moved. But that is how things are nowadays. When a man wishes to be clever, he must needs invent something special, and the way he does it must needs be the best. The fool wants to turn the whole art of astronomy upside down. However, as Holy Scripture tells us, so did Joshua bid the sun to stand still, and not the earth." John Calvin also dismissed the idea, going as far as to say, "We will see some who are so deranged, not only in religion, but in all things reveal their monstrous nature, that they will say that the sun does not move, and that it is the earth which shifts and turns. When we see such minds, we must indeed confess that the devil possesses them, and that God sets them before us as mirrors in order to keep us in his fear." Both saw heliocentrism as contradicting the clear testimony of Scripture. A century later, Isaac Newton developed the laws of motion and universal gravitation, showing that heavenly bodies followed predictable physical laws rather than being moved individually by God or angels. As historian Andrew Dickson White observed in 1897, "The spacious firmament on high, the Almighty enthroned upon the circle of the heavens, and with his own hands, or with angels as his agents, keeping sun, moon, and planets in motion for the benefit of the earth, hurling comets, casting forth lightning to scare the wicked, and shaking the earth in his wrath. All this had disappeared. Newton had given a new divine revelation, destined to be fatal to the old theory of creation." To many, Newton's discoveries marked the final overthrow of the old cosmology. For centuries, the heliocentric spherical Earth model dominated Christian teaching. Yet in 2015, the Flat Earth movement experienced a modern resurgence, fueled by YouTube videos, independent researchers, and debates around biblical literalism. One ministry, Earthen Vessels, publicly adopted the ancient biblical cosmology, a fixed, immovable earth under a solid firmament. Much like the worldview described in Genesis, they went on to release a feature-length documentary titled Heliosorcery, which became a massive online success, surpassing 300,000 views on YouTube. By contrast, mainstream creationist organizations such as Answers in Genesis held firmly to the modern heliocentric model, interpreting the relevant biblical passages as figurative and phenomenological. From the ancient Hebrew firmament to the Ptolemaic spheres, From Copernicus's sun-centered model to Luther and Calvin's resistance, from Newton's laws to YouTube-era revivals of geocentrism, the history of cosmology in the Bible is a story of worldviews colliding, each generation wrestling with how to read the heavens in light of Scripture. The heavens may declare the glory of God, but what those heavens look like has been debated for thousands of years, and the conversation is far from over.